So, trigger warning, if you are easily offended, this post is not for you. You may genuinely want to get the out right now. Get the out.
All right, bye. I mean, I don't really know. Let me put up my disclaimer then, because y'all be here.
Disclaimer: the views and opinions expressed by guests and callers are those of the individual guest or caller and do not necessarily represent the views and opinions of Tonya TKO, the Tonya TKO Show and or its affiliates. For more information, visit tonyatko.com.
Let's see what he's about to say now. Let's see.
Black men are the reason. The welfare state. Black men are the ones that sold us out. Black men are the ones that sold us out. I was doing some research. I'm writing a book called Marriages for Poor People. The key to building wealth.
This is not the guy. Wait. This is not the guy that Crystalline had on her show. So this guy's making a book called Marriages for Poor People. Interesting. Let's rewind just a little tiny bit. Let's hear this. Let's hear him out.
Black men are the ones that sold us out. I was doing some research. I'm writing a book called Marriages for Poor People. The key to building wealth is to get married. But let me tell you how the black men, in particular in our community, sold everybody out. Black women in the United States did not have any real political authority from the 1920s up until very, very recently in our history. Obviously, the facts prove this point. What I find interesting is that during the Great Society programs initiated by Lyndon Johnson, do you know who the staunchest supporters of the welfare program was? It was black men. It was Jesse Jackson. It was Billy Kyles. It was even to some degree Dr. Martin Luther King has to take some responsibility. It is so funny that we don't understand how the welfare state really damaged us. The welfare state, which, by the way, simply closed the door on a bunch of black men that had already left black women behind. The welfare state literally told you, without question, that you are going to live being given a fish a day versus the government teaching you to fish a day. And welfare takes away a man's strongest reason for working, which is survival, and that weakens the will of the poor. The government set it up to where you could not get welfare, or if you got welfare, you could not try to truly advance yourself. You couldn't go to high quality schools and stay on welfare. You couldn't try to get a better job. You had to lock yourself into this mindset of mediocrity in order to stay on the welfare dime. And that damaged and destroyed the psychology of us as a people. And then you sit up here and you wonder, well, why the did this happen? Well, what happened was that black men and black women who were already in the projects, they began to get, they got used to that consistent check. There was a woman in the 1980s. I was talking to Pink Pill about this. There was a woman in the 1980s that had 7 different kids by 7 different men.
So I just said this. Hold on. This is the guy that spoke to the Pink Pill? Crystalline? This is crazy. He looked like a grown man when he was on her show. This guy looks so young. Is this the same? This can't be. Because the guy who was on her show looked like he was like 50. This guy looked like he's like 30 something. Interesting. Let me go back just a little tiny bit.
So there was a woman in the 1980s that had 7 different kids by 7 different men and was bringing in $2,000 a month in 1990s or 1980s, 90s money.
Hold on, what?
Which at the time was a lot of
It's a lot of money
bread.
now.
I know y'all are going to get pissed at this, but what I'm getting at is the political leadership of black men at the time led to the creation of this sort of mediocre mindset among black women. And now we're still facing this problem today. It wasn't black women that sold us out. It wasn't black women that created this mindset. It was the failure of black men to stand up in mass for the black community. And that is the key problem. It's black men's fault, not women's. You dig?
Oh, my. I mean, I don't even know what to say about this. What can I say about this? I haven't done the research on this to know. So I don't know. But I will say this, right? Each adult has the responsibility for their own actions. When the men do this, I don't clap and applaud when they talk about how it's women's fault because they're the ones who have intercourse and all this and the other. And I'm not going to clap and applaud when we act as if grown women are not autonomous beings who can make decisions, right? So it's like, okay, if somebody is giving you a fish and yet you see that there are other ways to live, and this is why I say that it's important to have colleagues from all different backgrounds. It's important to have colleagues from different walks of life because there's a different standard, a different thing that different people are used to. This is why it's so important to travel, etc. Right? So it's too easy of a way out to be like, oh, it's somebody else's fault. Oh, they did this to us. Oh, it's not our responsibility. Oh, it's too easy of a way out. It feels good in the moment. Like recently I've been practicing saying, It's your fault. It's your fault. And it feels good temporarily in that moment to be like, I am absolved of any culpability for how it is that I got here where it is that I am now. However, we all have to take responsibility for our role in it. Did Black men sell us out? Yes, I'm sure. I'm sure, absolutely. Are there Black women who sold us out? Yeah, there's Black women who are still selling us out. Yes, absolutely. We've talked about this in another video. Absolutely. You know what was really funny? With that video, with the woman who was in the car, the Cheesecake Factory date, right? There are people who are not in on the joke. Baby, the joke is on you. She is manosphere through and through. She did that video using herself as the face of Level Up dysfunction. And she decided to become a walking stereotype so that she could denigrate the image of Black women. So no, 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 no. While you over here calling me a tether in her defense, baby, she is not your friend. So yes, we have been sold out and we are continuing to be sold out. And ever since I started my garden, I realized that there's an entire ecosystem of predator, prey. There's an ecosystem of those who come to take and siphon, and that which brings bounty. And so each thing has its role. Like my father told me to kill this wasp nest, right? But these wasps were killing the lantern flies that had come, an invasive species, right? And so I looked at the ecosystem, and we have an ecosystem. And there are going to be people who are going to have their predation. This is the way the world works. But what is it that we're going to do? Okay, so we have some men who are out of control. Every 6 hours, one of us is being taken out. What do we do? Please pay attention. When a man starts threatening you or he starts acting controlling, please understand that you're going to have to exercise your Second Amendment right, and you're going to have to keep yourself safe and sound. Don't just sit up there as a victim. No. So yes, there are some people who are selling us out, right? However, there are also people on the flip side who are putting us on. There are people who are lifting us up. There are Bible school teachers who are giving children a safe place to be every Saturday or Sunday. There are churches who are actually feeding the hungry and clothing the naked. There are places in the community. However, are you volunteering at any of these places? Are you giving back? So it's like, yeah, we as Black people, we have to stop waiting for this magical pie in the sky day where everything is going to be all right. Woke up this morning, smile with the rising sun. 3 little birds was on my doorstep, singing sweet songs. A melody pure and true, saying, this is my message to you. Singing, don't worry about a thing. 'Cause every little thing, it's not going to all be all right. We got to stop waiting for the day where some birds are going to be on our doorstep singing some sweet songs to us. How do we function and operate in an ecosystem where there are people who sell us out, in an ecosystem where there are predators? Do we stay there and remain prey? So stop waiting for that day that a bird is going to come with a banjo. It's like, that's not real life. That's some Mary Poppins stuff. And I think Mary Poppins was popping some pop-on. You know what I mean? I don't think she was, the stuff that she was seeing, that's the type of stuff I saw when I was, listen, nonetheless. It's just too easy to be like it's somebody else's fault. Resist that temptation. And I was listening to a video earlier today of this woman who screams out, violence, right? And she's always talking about how people are victimizing her, etc. It's too much. You have to pay attention to people who are always claiming to be the victim. Pay attention. People think I'm mean and cruel, but no. People play a hand in where it is that they are today. Black women have played a hand in where it is that we are today and continue to play a hand. Black men have played their part. However, I don't receive instruction from Black men. I don't. I have to do what I feel is right for me, and you have to do what you feel is right for you. Pay attention and see what it is that you can do in this ecosystem, because the blame game is too easy. Be a part of the live show with thousands of other viewers. Go to TonyaTKO.com/text and join the text notification squad and get a text whenever I go live. Support the show and yourself, and I'll see you on the next live broadcast.